So I'm here as a mother of a young adult who was having a lot of problems with gaming on the internet. And it affected his life to such an extent that he did not graduate from high school, and he didn't get his driver's license, and he didn't do a lot of social things that kids his age were doing. He's a very bright boy, very creative, a lot of fun to be around, but a lot of that had seemed to disappear for quite a period of time. And no matter how much I tried to limit the internet and limit the gaming, I tried various strategies, nothing was working. And it was frustrating and frightening. And over the process, I watched my son become more and more depressed and angry and detached from the family more and more. And though that's so normal in some ways as an adolescent, it really was well beyond that. And almost kind of a hostility to the family, and certainly anyone who was trying to limit his internet use. So that situation drove us to therapy eventually, and it was extremely frustrating going from therapist to therapist and not having anyone really understand the problem and minimize the problem. And both therapists and other parents would say, well, they're not using drugs and they're not drinking, and what's the big deal? And maybe you just have an extreme version of what's too much time. And I lived through that for months and months and months, but I was convinced there was more to it, and that this was a real, it showed every sign of addiction that I'd ever heard about. And so I pursued it, and it was not easy by any means. My son was kind of fighting it all along the way. Obviously, his internet and gaming was being threatened by any move I might make. And we eventually connected with people who understood the problem. And I think the problem usually occurs with other problems, and I think that's part of where the confusion comes, because people will say, well, first of all, internet and gaming addiction isn't a real thing, and then you're ignoring the whole fact that he's depressed. Well, you can't even get to the depressed part because the gaming is so much in front of everything. And I kept trying to tell people that, but no one would believe me. So it was just really unbelievably frustrating. I eventually found people, as I said, who did understand that. I first met Dr. Cash, and she was very helpful in that she immediately was able to say to me, do you notice this? Is this happening? And I was able to say, check, 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 right down the list, everything. It was all out there. And it was such a relief to me to hear someone who really understood this problem. And eventually, we found our way to resTART, and my son has just finished the program here, and it has been an incredible journey for him, I know, and for me as well. To see light come back into his eyes is just an incredible experience, because it seemed so hopeless for a while there. And I see that he's gained so many skills, and he cares about his life again. He feels hope, I can tell he does. He's connected with people again. He has passed his GEDs while he's been here. Not just passed, but he's passed with flying colors. And he feels good about himself. And I know we've got a road ahead of us that's not always going to be smooth, because he's got a lot to deal with, and there are a lot of triggers, obviously, at home coming up. But I really feel hopeful that he sees that he has a life, and he cares about it now. And he cares about the family again, and I'm just so delighted and so relieved. I can't say enough good things about this program. It's been a real blessing to have him